Next topic here. London's newly elected mayor, Sadiq Khan. London has chosen hope. Hope over fear. And Anthony, this is a 9-minute long video. If you want me to stop it, because I'm sure you're going to want me to stop it. So we'll stop it.
Whose video is it?
This is CNN.
Oh, okay.
Christiane.
Is it very hurtful?
Yeah, dude. He talks about
God.
Obama and Islam and Muslims, and we have to have hope here in this country. Let's not have the people live in fear over Islam. It's pretty sad,
Right.
but yeah, it's going to be good, man. So let me know when you want to stop. It's Christiane Amanpour.
If anybody else wants to jump in, feel free. Fuck, man. Why is it me? Just because it's London? I've never lived in London.
Well, this is
Anyway, carry on.
This is your home country, bro. What the fuck, man? You got the experience to let everybody know what the fuck's happening, especially where you came from.
Yeah, okay. I'll give my...
There we go. There we go. Here we go.
Yep.
All right, let's get to this video.
You can tell that from my name and...
Having refused to bow to the politics of fear, hatred and division, London is a city embarking on a new journey after voting in its first ever Muslim mayor. Sadiq Khan is spending his first week on the job after winning the biggest personal mandate of any politician in British history, despite his opponents trying to paint him as a dangerous extremist. His victory takes on global significance at this time of religious and racial division and outright Islamophobia around Europe and in the United States.
Fuck that, man. There's no such thing as Islamophobia. Christiane.
Well, they're always gonna trot that one out. I mean, it's just a standard line these days, isn't it? Islamophobia, check. Anti-white bigot, or anti-bigot, anti-Muslim bigotry, check. They have to check all those off before they even start talking. That's just setting a precedent. Okay, we're not bigots, we're not racists. We think refugees are fantastic. Now we're going to tell our story.
And that's the thing about Islamophobia. It's a shitty fucking word, and when you look at it, phobia is it's a rational fear, right? So,
well, Islamophobia,
irrational
everyone
fear.
forget that it was brought by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you're 110% right on that, Anthony. But a phobia is it's an irrational fear. But fear in Muslim or fear in Islam, not Muslims, but fear in Islam is a rational fear. So let's move on.
Okay.
Here.
Indeed, when I met him at City Hall for his first international television interview, he showed that he's not shy about speaking up for tolerance and speaking out against fear and loathing on the US campaign trail, confronting the Trump effect head on. Mayor Khan, welcome to the program.
It's great to be here, really.
You are trending all over the world. Your election has grabbed headlines and attention everywhere.
So, just one second. So, I was trying to do some research when you sent me the thing on Sadiq Khan today, and I don't know much about him, other obviously that he's a Muslim. And I've heard people saying, is he a Muslim like Majid Nawaz is a Muslim?
No.
And he's not. No. And he's not a Muslim like that at all.
No, I hear he's a devout
when I was
Muslim,
looking him up, everything that I found, it was Tommy Robinson kept talking about him.
I heard the piece he did on the Rebel, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't support him because he's a Muslim. And the reason for that is, and that might sound, I guess, to many different people bigoted. Yeah, he has ties to Islamic. I just looked at his Wikipedia page, and there's nothing on there at all about any ties to any Islamic organization from the past. And I actually heard, and this could be wrong, right? But I heard that he'd already done time in 2012 or something for something a little bit suspect he did in the past with regards to not terrorism per se, but something against like anti-something laws.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I've been out of England so long, man. I don't know. That's what I heard, but looking at his Wikipedia, there's nothing on there that says that whatsoever. Nothing on there at all.
Unbelievable. All right, let's move on here because I think they bring up a point or two about that maybe, I think. Let's see here.
More seriously, because the Islamic factor, the Muslim factor, has been a big factor. Are you surprised about that? And what is your take on that?
My view is, I'm born and raised in London. This is my city. Is in 2016, we're global citizens. We have multiple identities. So I'm a Londoner. I'm British, I'm European, I'm a father, I'm a dad. I'm of Islamic faith. I'm of Asian origin, of Pakistani heritage. And so no one thing defines who we are. But in the current climate, with the sort of election...
Did you just say not one thing defines who we are?
That's exactly what he said.
Wow, okay.
The Conservative Party chose to have, I think the result last Thursday is a huge vindication for what a wonderful city London is, but also that, you know, Western liberal values are compatible with mainstream Islam. And, you know, last...
Did you just say fucking Islam is compatible with fucking Western civilization in general? Holy shit, how fucking sad is that, man? It's not compatible. No, in no way whatsoever.
It's only compatible if you're willing to assimilate. Other than that, no way.
People need to realize Islam, and we'll get into this interview right after this, or in a little bit here.
Yep.
You know, Islam is about. I mean, like they tell you how to run a government, how to do this, how to do that, how to conduct your life. You know, it's very immoral, and for him to say that it's compatible, you know, with society in London or in the EU or in the Western civilization is just absolute bullshit. We know it's not. You know, when's he going to condemn that type of shit? When is he going to condemn Sharia? Does he support Sharia? He's a devout Muslim. Does he support Sharia? That's a question that she should fucking ask him. I would love to hear his answer on that. I mean, like, that's what it's all about. It's about Muhammad. It's about what he fucking did. It's about the traditions. It's about Sharia.
His whole thing on this is all about the tolerance angle.
Exactly.
He keeps pushing the tolerance angle.
Yeah, we have to be tolerant towards fucking Islam. Yeah. It's like, again, hashtag not all. We have to say not all Muslims, but, you know.
No. We don't have to be tolerant against Islam. We have to be tolerant against, I guess, Muslims, but not the violent ones. But we don't have to be tolerant against Islam. Why should we be tolerant against such a fucking horrible ideology? And you're talking about him being, it's like, yeah, he's probably going to, how do you worry about him pushing it, since Islam is a political ideology?
Correct.
You're going to worry about him pushing it into the politics too. He's talking about tolerance and tolerance for Muslims. So what is the tolerance for Muslim going to be? The type of stuff where the OIC got the United Nations to push the non-binding resolution that you can't blaspheme Islam? Yeah. That type of tolerance? Fuck that shit.
Is he tolerant to Sharia patrols? I mean,
that's good.
God damn.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Will he combat that? Will he combat?
Are you talking about the? I'm sorry, I had a child emergency.
That's okay.
All right.
Are you talking about the that tweet he sent out?
No, we're talking. If you know what that tweet's about, you can state it. But what we were talking about is like how tolerant. You know, he talks about being tolerant when it comes to Islam. I'm like, how tolerant can you really be? You know. I mean, and Grant brought up the situation with Sharia patrols happening in certain areas in the UK. You know what I mean? Is he going to speak out against that and condemn that? I don't know.
No, because he's just the mayor of London. So he just what I've heard about him, because he's a Muslim, all he's going to be bothered about is what Muslims, and Muslims, there's a fair majority of Muslims in London already, but 50% of the population of London are foreign born anyway.
Yeah.
And that's not to say they're all Muslims by any stretch of the imagination.
No, correct.
50% of them
gotta be honest here.
Weren't born in England.
Yeah.
They just live there. And many of them are just successful people and whatever, they're just working there.
And there are people...
Because it's Europe, you know what I mean? So if you're from Spain, you can be working there. If you're from Portugal or whatever, you can be living there.
Yeah. And there are people we're not talking about, Anthony. We're not talking about the peaceful people that live day to day in their daily life and, assimilate and adhere to Western culture, civilization. There are people we're not addressing. We're addressing the people that are holding Sharia patrols, that are protesting in the UK, stating, hey, listen, Sharia will rule the world. When they hold these signs up in the UK and throughout the EU.
Sharia patrols is somewhat, I don't know, that in some respects that, you do get that. They're not really, what I've experienced, they're not Sharia patrols, but you've got gangs of young Muslim men walking around telling you that if you don't move out of their area, they're going to kick your head in.
Yeah,
so if you want to call that Sharia patrol, sure. That's what I've experienced.
It's exactly, how I would look at it when we state Sharia patrols, correct, yeah. Yeah, we're not saying that they're trying to implement Sharia or Sharia is being implemented in their towns and they're killing people or killing women for committing adultery. We're not saying that.
I mean, even something as small as like, telling a woman that, her head should be, she should have a veil on her head, or if there's a guy, sitting on his porch having a beard, going up and telling him, no, you can't fucking do that. Even something that's, on the lower level of that end.
Yeah, you get that as well. No, you're right. I don't know if Bill Warner goes into that. But from that clip you showed, I can't wait till you show it because I really want to watch that.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
We do talk about the EU a little bit.
But the levels of jihad.
Yeah,
that was
hurt
my interest.
He really rants about that for about 5 minutes. So,
right.
Yeah. So let's move on to this video here.
Thursday, we had a record turnout, a record vote that we secured for me. And I think that shows actually, that people do care about these things. They understand that you can be a Muslim and be Western. You can be a Muslim and be British. You can be both. And so obviously I'm chuffed and I'm proud and I'm pleased and stuff. But, now begins the job of actually delivering as the Mayor of London.
And we're not talking about those types of people. We just need to make that clear, right? We're not talking to people that, like we just stated, adhere to or assimilate to Western culture. They're not the people we're talking about.
I find it interesting that he has to point that out, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have
that he's saying, look, I'm a Muslim that's not, that has integrated. I'm a Muslim that doesn't go around implementing Sharia law. I'm not walking around trying to hurt on women and telling them to cover up and all that kind of shit.
No, exactly.
In public, anyway.
Yeah. To even do that.
But well, that's just virtue signaling, isn't it? Again, that's just, I'm not a Muslim that does that.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you want? I mean, well done for being a functioning human being.
Absolutely. A+ to you. Here's your fucking golden star, buddy. We're going to put this right up on the board with fucking mayors, throughout the world.
Already, you have engaged in a war of words with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been very divisive and, as you have said, has played the fear and anger card in his election, like you've described, your Tory opponent for mayor. Tell me what you feel about the whole idea of banning Muslims from the United States. You presumably would not be able to visit.
There goes the straw man, but anyway.
Well, look, people understandably have fears. Now, there's two ways of dealing with that. One is you play on people's fears, or two is you address them. And I think the Conservative Party here used the Donald Trump playbook when it came to the election. It was obvious that I'm a Muslim. You can tell that from my name, and I've never hidden the fact that I'm a Muslim. And to try and seek to divide communities, to try and give the impression that somehow our city may be less safe if I was the mayor, I think that was rejected last week. And the point I made last week during my acceptance speech was, London has chosen hope over fear. I'm really proud that London chose.
I haven't seen why people have what objections people have to say that London's going to be less safe because he's the mayor.
Yeah, no,
I'm trying to think what they could be, and
that's a great point, Anthony.
Actually. If he's going to obfuscate Muslim violence or whatever, or Islamic terrorism, or whatever you want to, whatever label you want to put on it, is he then going to be that person that's always going to be there to put little barriers up in the way to people getting this, basically getting London to be safe and people can go visit there and stuff? Because if people think London is going to be riddled with terrorists, the tourism rate is going to crash. Money's not going to go into London. England will be fucked. Like, totally fucked.
Anthony, you're 100% right. And what is he going to do when they have protest, Muslim protest? Stating that Sharia will rule the world, or Sharia will rule the, London or the UK. I mean, when does it stop? The tolerance.
Well, I mean, people are free to say
I'm talking about
that
the tolerance. When's he going to address the fears that Londoners have, or people in the UK? I mean, it's, what I mean?
Londoners, I mean, I don't really know what a Londoner is anymore. I guess people even from London, born and bred in London, have lived there all their lives. Probably few and far between these days. I don't think there's that many of them left.
Yeah, and we know Tommy Robertson's take on fucking Luton. So,
well, yeah, and he lives in a suburb outside London.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just
the same thing. You know what I mean? But
how far does tolerance go? How far does it go when it comes to combating radical extremism, in these countries? I'm like, is he going to say he's going to be tolerant against it, or is he going to be intolerant? Say, hey, listen, let's condemn this. Let's talk about this. We just had this protest. Let's be honest about it, and we're not going to tolerate this shit. Is he going to be that type of mayor? I don't know. I guess that's yet to be seen. So we just got to keep a close eye on this guy. I think so.
Yeah.
All right,
unity over division, and my message to Donald Trump and his team is that, your views of Islam are ignorant. It is possible to be a Muslim and to live in the West.
And we're not addressing that. They're the people we're not addressing. We're addressing the fucking percentage of people that support Sharia, that want Sharia in the West. And we're also addressing the mass Muslim migration, these refugees these migrants are infiltrating fucking the EU. We're addressing
so,
them.
So is he? So is he going to be way more tolerant on that? Is he going to let way more Muslim immigrants in?
I don't see. Well, I think he would.
And because he lives in London, London's very close to Kent, which is where the border with France is.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it could. It could be. I don't know. I don't really see much positive. I heard Introverted Smiles made a video about it, I think today, and he said that he wasn't too impressed that England had elected a Muslim sort of political figurehead, and because it's London, of course, it carries way more weight than it would if it was Scotland or something like that.
Yeah. I wonder how the Muslims, or at least the extremist Muslims in the UK, would act if it was a Jewish fucking mayor. I don't know. I'm putting it out there.
If you look, and it's. I mean, you have to understand this isn't the first Muslim member of Parliament by any stretch of the imagination.
But it's
There's been tons before. There's been tons of Muslim MPs.
Oh yeah.
Right, but they all tend to be in the northern counties. That's where it started, and now it's filtering south.
But it's
once you have enough Muslim members of Parliament, then of course you have way more influence over what happens with regards to what laws are passed in that country.
Well, that's
and because you are Muslim, I mean, I'm suggesting maybe then you could perhaps, put laws through and things like that are advantageous to the Muslim population of that country.
Well, Anthony, that's what has happened in the past. I'm like, we saw what happened in Turkey. It was majority Christian. We look at Egypt, we look at Lebanon. What happened in Lebanon? I'm like, Gad Saad, he's fucking proof of this. He lived there when he was a child. Where it was basically, they get to a certain percentage of a population, and they create havoc. It's all about.
Yeah, man, I spoke about this like almost 12 months ago, which is from a report that came out years ago.
Yeah.
And since then, I've heard like Paul Joseph Watson do videos on it, and I've heard many other people do videos on the same thing.
Yeah,
and it's true. We're just looking back in the past.
And Introverted Smile just stated, and I bring this up not often in my videos, but I do state the Iranian Revolution back in the 70s. I think it's 70s. Yeah, I'm like in Iran. I'm like the women used to dress in bikinis and short shorts, and I actually bring this up actually in the.
That was the same for Afghanistan as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Afghanistan as well. And I bring this up with Bill Warner, and I said to him like, listen, it's so funny. Iran. As it got to a point where, fundamentalist. Muslims took over that country, the Iranian Revolution. That's a great key point to bring up. And that was recent. In the 70s. So, and then, we got to be honest with ourselves and watch what this guy does and what he believes in. And he has to condemn, people in the UK and even in London, if they even protest, saying that, we got to combat extremism, Islamic extremism, call for what it is. Will he? Well, it's yet to be determined, but let's move on here.
It is possible to be a Muslim and to love America. I've got family members who are American. We've often been to America on holiday. My kids used to love Disneyland. I'm scared of some of the rides, but they used to love going to Disneyland.
They're scared of some of the rides in America? Is that what he just said?
The rides. Like on a fairground? Like on a roller coasters?
Yeah.
Oh, rides. I thought you said rights.
A little add-on to his anecdotal, yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I love going there.
Can't understand you fucking limeys.
Been there as a minister. I'm not exceptional. So for Donald Trump to say, Mayor Khan can be allowed, but not the rest, is ridiculous, because there are business people here who want to do business in America who happen to be Muslim. There are young people here who want to study in America who happen to be Muslim. There are people here who want to go to holiday in America.
Right, so he's just saying, please don't demonize all Muslims.
And
it's just an all Muslim thing. That's all he's talking about right now. Yeah,
it's the hashtag not all fucking issue again. We're not. We're not. It's like we're not talking about the peaceful Muslims.
I know, but it's like we're like 7 steps ahead of this guy.
Oh yeah, we're way ahead of him. Yeah, of course.
As far as discourse goes, like if we had to have a conversation with this guy, we'd have to take 4 steps back to get anywhere near where he was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we'd have to spend all the fucking time talking about that to even start discussing anything of any value.
Absolutely A+, man. You got to start behind, and you just got to come forward and get them to our position, and have.
But like Introverted Smiles, for instance, he's there. He's at that point where he knows the religion shit. Yeah, he knows it's crap, and he knows the damage it does. He wants to now further that conversation from that point, not have to go back, apologize for Islam and what it's all about, and then try and move on from a conversation, because you're never going to get anywhere.
Correct. Absolutely. Nail on the head.
Muslim and around the world. Now, by giving the impression that Islam and the West are incompatible, you're playing into the hands of the extremists.
Oh, fuck off.
But people are being honest. I'm like, there it is again, man. That's
bullshit, man. That's absolute bullshit.
Absolutely it is, man. I'm like, what can you say about that? He's fucking wrong, you know? So the people that speak out against Islam, political Islam, and we're speaking truth about it. We see what has happened in the past when it came to it. We know about the Muslim migration, the invasions from the 7th to the 14th century. I'm like, we know what has happened, and it still continues. It's still continuing. Like we stated about Iran, we stated about Turkey when it was majority Christian, how they took it over in Lebanon and in these countries, and somehow when it comes to the Palestinian territory, well, we should give we should have a two-state solution. I'm like, it's just absolute bullshit, absolute grade A bullshit, man.
You've said that you actually want to do business and go and learn from and exchange ideas with mayors of great American cities like in New York or in Chicago. Would you go under a Donald Trump presidency?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not sure if he'll allow me to go because I may have members of my entourage who are Muslim. But the point is, it's not just about me. It's about the message it sends from the greatest country in the world. I mean, what is the story of America? And I think I think Donald Trump doesn't get the history of America. And my point with respect to Americans is, look, I think you've got a choice when it comes to the elections in November. You've got a choice of hope over fear. You've got a choice of unity over division. You've got a choice of somebody who's trying to...
No, I want to divide. I want to divide.
But it's not. But the further point is, we're not doing the ones that's dividing. They're the ones that don't want to integrate into the country that they're coming into. So they create the divide initially.
No, absolutely. And that's why I'm all for division. I'm like, I want to call out the fucking idiots that are not truthful when it comes to, on this issue here, when it comes to Muslim extremism. The people that believe or adhere to some form of Sharia. We need to realize that 51% of American Muslims in America would love their choice between Sharia courts and U.S. courts. We can't forget that fucking fact. We can't. And I'm sure it's much worse in the EU. I'm like, this is the shit we're talking about. But will he ever bring that up? No. Will he bring up that 51% support some form of Sharia law or wish they had the choice between Sharia and U.S. courts? No, he's not going to fucking address that. No.
What people need to understand, because he's the mayor of London, right? He doesn't have any more power really than any other mayor of any town. But because it's London, it's this figurehead position.
Correct.
Yeah. Which is why so much emphasis is placed on him. We had a Muslim mayor 10 years ago in Bradford when I was still living there. I think it was our second Muslim mayor that we'd had. I mean, I don't know how much. I wasn't paying attention, to be honest with you. I don't know how much influence he had over the local politics.
Yeah.
But looking forward 10 years, things ain't gone that well. Things haven't gone down that well whatsoever.
Definitely not.
He said something at the beginning where you have to address the fears, but yet he keeps wanting to focus on the good side. Only keep your eyes on the good side. Just ignore the problem.
Exactly. And the problem is, Grants, that majority of Muslims support some form of Sharia. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
That's the number one problem.
And that's the number one problem, that we have to address. I mean, that's where we have to have our starting point. And then we can go down to the demographics, which are a smaller percentage of who supports that, the husband or the wife, that the wife should obey the husband, or that they support, that people should be stoned or killed for committing apostasy. Or that women should be stoned to death for committing adultery, or that women have to wear their vows on the street, or they have to be accompanied by a male counterpart. I'm like, these are the issues. These are the smaller issues, but the bigger issue is Sharia. We have to talk about that, because that's what Islam is basically about, political Islam. They have it in place. They have their fucking rule book. They know how to fucking conquer fucking nations, in a peaceful way, and then when they become a large minority, they create havoc. And this is proven in history, everybody. I don't know what to tell you. Disagree with me all you want. This is proven. We've stated a few countries that have done this. I just don't get it, but let's
divide not just your communities in America.
Hold on.
Go
What I was going to say is, like, I think, like, I'm looking at it too. Like, people talk about they talk about how we're seeing too much into our conspiracy theory, or too much into it. Oh my God, yeah, like they're going to get Sharia here in the U.S., or they're going to get Sharia in London, and I'm thinking about it. Well, you guys are worried about what the Christians do here, especially, and all the backwards ass, weird, retarded shit they do. If like you're talking about like the transgender thing or homosexuals and shit. So, what do you think is going to happen when you get people who are less open to criticism, or less willing to collapse under criticism, getting and pushing for shit like Sharia, and pushing for things like that?
Do me a favor.
Like, what do you think is going to happen when you get to that point?
Do me a favor in the United States. Why don't you do me a fucking favor, since we don't really have the problem that EU has? Do me a favor, like Pamela Geller did. Why don't you hold a fucking little tiny get-together and have a Draw Muhammad fucking conference and see what happens, and see if Muslim fucking terrorists come up to your fucking, your gathering with fucking guns and try to fucking kill you guys. Go ahead, do that. Let me know. Let's make the comparison, like Paul said, between Christianity in America and fucking Islam. Let's do that. Fucking unbelievable.
But divide America from the rest of the world. And I think that's, not the America that I know and love. And, look, I'll do, of course I'll go to America because, I love the country. But also I think, New York and Chicago and Austin and other parts of America have a lot to teach this city. How do we address the issue of climate change? How do we fix air quality? How do we do integration better? How do we keep our cities safe in policing? So, of course, I'll travel to America, but I'm hoping that, that he's not the guy that wins.
Well, yeah, I agree with that sentiment that we have to worry about, global warming, climate change, and shit like that. A+ on his part, but to talk about tolerant, that we need to be tolerant, it's all about hope and not fear, is just absolute bullshit. We have to call the fear out. The people that fear society into fearing a certain demographic, we have to. I'm like, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? This is an issue in the EU, especially Germany. I'm like, Sweden is just basically, they're fucking done, right? Sweden. I'm like, Germany, they're getting there.
Did you hear what Stefan Molyneux said about that?
No.
About going back to Europe for a vacation?
No.
Which applies to me, really, because Rebecca's been asking me for a while. Like, it's not something we're planning on doing in the next couple of years, but, like, is this somewhere that you'd like to go back to? And I don't really want to go back. I really don't, which is so sad.
Yeah.
Maybe
you should go and live with Tommy Robertson, man, Luton.
No, man, that would be, like, that's almost worse than Bradford.
I remember him talking about that.
His experience is pretty good. Like he said before, the Muslims really came into action. Luton was a really good multicultural fucking society back then.
Same as Bradford, really nice. Same as Bradford. Yeah. Like if he was on he would agree with me completely. Just the same. Back in the 50s and 60s after the war, we had blacks from Jamaica and all that coming in, and they'd be driving buses, and the theory was then that they were doing the jobs that white people didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Which really wasn't true. Oh. You wouldn't see them as miners, really. It'd be all the white people down the mines, especially in the north. So that's not really true, because white people were doing shit jobs as well. But everybody was pulling together, and there was a lot of job opportunities, so we imported a load of people. And it was only when Pakistanis came in that we seemed to start having a problem.
You mean when you had an influx of people, some of them, who are moderate, nice, but the ones who also pushed the division because of the ideology they follow, you had a problem.
That's right.
Whatever.
God damn.
Yeah.
A+, Paul. Yeah, good point, man. Definitely. Yeah, that's the issue they're dealing with, man. So, all right, let's do another clip of this video, and then we'll take a break. We'll talk about the Reason Rally for a few minutes because me and Grant and Paul are going there. Paul, you got to give me your information on the flight. And then, Reason Rally is going to be a fucking awesome guy. So if you're here from the promotion, the promotion that was retweeted by Reason Rally and David Silverman, we're going to be talking about the Reason Rally. I was at the first one in 2012. Awesome. We're going to chat about that a little bit, talk about the speakers and the events that are happening over the 4 days, and it's going to be awesome. So let's play a little bit more of this clip. I'm not going to play the whole clip, but let's play a little bit, and then we'll get on to our break.
In fact, you've called yourself a feminist, and you'd like to perhaps see a female president.
Oh, this is a good point to fucking end with. Let's see what he has to say.
Muslim feminist. Yeah, how does that work?
Yeah, here we go. Let's listen to what he has to say about feminism, or him being a feminist. Here we go.
in the United States.
Look, not only does Hillary have a fantastic track record, and she's very, very experienced, I'm the father of 2 daughters, a proud feminist in City Hall. Just imagine the message it sends to my daughters and to girls around the world that the President of the United States of America is a woman. Not any old woman, a woman with the gravitas, with the experience, somebody who's a unifier leading the USA, and she'll be an inspiration. What? She'll be an inspiration. I'm quite clear in my mind who I want to be the president of the USA.
Obviously.
Oh my God, what do you guys think about that, dude? Jesus Christ.
Well,
being a devout
I don't
Muslim,
particularly like
being
Hillary.
a
I think
feminist.
she's a fucking felon. I don't think she's I'm not going to get too far into that. I don't like her. She's a fucking witch. She's an old bitch. She's done so much horrendous shit in the past, and I don't know why the fuck people are behind her. Sorry, Rue.
Yeah, but let's talk about his. Sorry, Rue. But what do you think about his feminist approach, man? Being a devout Muslim, man. Holy shit, dude. They're fucking not synonymous.
That's
synonymous.
Well,
they're not synonymous.
They're both totalitarian if you're talking about it in the third way. But what the fuck? How? Yeah, a feminist, but but for Islam too. What?
It's like, okay, let's address the atrocities and how I'll say it, anti-women fucking a lot of Muslim people are. I'm like, to say that 700 million say that the wife should obey their husband, that's a fucking issue. You know, let's say if a woman wants to be liberated and fucking say Iran and say, I'm not wearing my fucking headscarf, my hijab, and I don't want a male counterpart. I'm just gonna go out. I'm a feminist, and I'm gonna have a fun time on the street without wearing a hijab. Come on, dude, that's gonna be a fucking issue. I'm sorry, dude. And this is something he needs to address in his faith.
Get your head cut off.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. Or try what? I don't going out with without a male escort in the better places like Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just absolute grade A bullshit, man. So let's take a little break here, guys, and we'll
hey,
get on.
one more thing.
Oh, go ahead, Grant. Go ahead. Sorry.
One more little thing. Has anybody noticed how this guy looks like an Arab Rowan Atkinson?
No. Let's take a look.
A little
Back,
bit. His
everybody,
face
to the
isn't quite
Skeptic Fan
rubbery
Show.
enough.
Tonight's
I know
guest
what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, let's look at that again, Harold.
See, we're in a really difficult state right now. We see divisions across Europe.
Like Muslim Mr. Bean.
Yeah, I can see that. Muslim Mr. Bean. Oh my God! Only from Anthony would hear about fucking Mr. Bean. Jesus Christ. All right, guys.
How long's the break for, Joe?
It's 5 minutes.
Really? All right.
Why?
No, you cool.
Oh, okay, good. Why? You just want to keep on continuing ranting? Go take your shit now, man, because we know it's going to be about fucking 20 minutes. So go do what you got to do.
There you go.
There you go.
All
right, guys. We'll be back with the Skeptic Fan Show. We're going to talk about the Reason Rally happening in about 2.5 weeks, less than 3 weeks. And I'm going. The Skeptic Fan Show is going. We're going to be interviewing some awesome people. We got press passes. We're going to be backstage interviewing some awesome people. Paul's going. Grant's going. And it's going to be an awesome time. Anthony's not going because he's a fucking pussy.
Do like a face mask of me. Take a photograph of my face like that, and people can wear that as a mask.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a picture of you, Anthony, and I'm going to put on a T-shirt and get a T-shirt made and say, Anthony is here.